Hey, my Legion. Whoop, shit. Hey, my Legion. How y'all doing today? I'm here today to talk about the show I found out about called Dark Side of the Ring. Now, I found out about this through Ryback, and he does like excerpts of podcasts and does stuff, or like he might address this item and put like a little bit of a podcast you time, and they were talking about the Chris Benoit episode of Dark Side of the Ring. That's why I found out about the show. And people were asking me to do review the Chris Benoit episode, and I didn't want to do a whole show just based on that because it's kind of a bummer. But I wanted to mention this one first. I had lots of memories about, and then three other episodes I saw of it. But that was the first time I heard of it when I heard Ryback, who has a channel where he does food reviews and stuff, and yeah, I thought I'd, address why I found. And I found out it's been on for 2 seasons on Vice. My friends say he's seen all of them. I gotta go through all the episodes from season 1 and 2 and then watch them. So what I want to first start off with was Dr. D, David Schultz, and the slap. The slap was to John Stossel. And most people know about this. And how I know about it is I remember seeing the original broadcast in 2020. I remember seeing this when I was in high school. We had the VCR. And wrestling was really, really popular at the time. I mean, I think they're trying to go. I think this is before they're. I mean, Vince McMahon was taking a different direction. This is right at the time before they were trying to get real family friendly. They were starting to do it. You know what I mean? But they were starting to become family friendly. Well, anyways, John Stossel did an expose where this one guy was teaching him the tricks. And boy, this one guy, they don't like that wrestler at all. He said he was a nothing wrestler, he was a nobody. And John Stossel said that he thought the whole thing was BS. Wrestling was shit and all this other stuff. Said it's fake. Now, the one thing, and that's why I heard growing up a lot, I mean, a lot of the people didn't like it, said wrestling's all fake. Wrestling's fake. Wrestling's fake. And what I don't like about that is it's such a blanket statement. If wrestling was truly fake, wrestlers wouldn't die so young. Most wrestlers wouldn't die before they hit 40. Most wrestlers wouldn't become cripples. Most wrestlers wouldn't have concussions or any type of messed up condition whatsoever because their body gets beat up in the ring. I mean, if it's all fake, they'd have no problems whatsoever, no matter what. I mean, the thing with wrestling is a predetermined, I almost said predetermined income, predetermined outcome, and then they do craft like a scenario in the way they go about the moves and stuff, so they try not to get hurt, but they do get hurt, and their bodies take a beating, and years on end, and it takes a toll on them. That's the part that people don't understand. That stuff's real. They really do get hurt. And their bodies get beat up too much and they become cripples or they die young. And that's the part that people don't understand. It says fake, nothing. But it's not all fake. And then Vince McMahon, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Anyways, John Stossel, was doing a whole espionage with that one wrestler that everyone hates. They said it was a nothing wrestler, so he just went to do that. And the one wrestler said he was trying to do something to bring about health insurance for the wrestlers because they get beat up and stuff like that. He went to 2020, then I guess 2020 kind of did the switcheroo like they did to Mick Foley. When Mick Foley said, he'll be on camera, and they were trying to say how evil Vince was, and they're talking about trying to get rid of that whole attitude era, and they said all the drug use and stuff like that. They also counted Stone Cold drinking a beer that's drug abuse. You know what I mean? And they really screwed him over when they were showing these clips and stuff. You have to read Mick Foley's book to really get the whole gist of it. Well, anyways, 2020 did it to him too. He wanted to talk about wrestlers' health care, and he showed John Salsa about like the blading like this, or like they grab him and they hit the head in the turnbuckle and stuff like that. You know, some of the tricks of the trade, I guess. That was kayfabe at the time, because this was like the old school stuff. Kayfabe was like that's Carney speak. Like it's a code that you're supposed to, it's supposed to be real. Like David Dr. Schultz said, like he took it to heart. He said like you can't have a match with this guy. You're supposed to be enemies, and then like a month or two later, someone will see you at Shoney's eating dinner with him. You know, that's not going to happen. They actually did have something like that happen with Vince McMahon. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Iron Sheik were supposed to be enemies in the ring. And I guess the cops found them driving in their back of their trunk. They had a bunch of drugs and stuff. So, I mean, that was breaking kayfabe right there. But the one thing is John Saul was supposed to expose it's fake and stuff like that. And he asked a bunch of wrestlers if it was fake. And then he got Dr. D. David Schultz, where he did like a career-ending thing. And Dr. D was giving him some hell. And then John Saul said he was intimidated by him. And he finally asked him if it's fake. And he goes, and then Dr. D said, this fake. Hits him on the head, hits him right here in the ear, hits him on the other side of the ear right there. And caused some extreme hearing loss. I mean, well, he had ringing in the ears for months. I don't know how long it lasted. And he was talking about he couldn't hear his daughter or anything like that and stuff. And so he's filed a lawsuit with WWE. And now I found out was they interviewed Dr. D. David Schultz. And he was saying Vince told him, like, hey, they got this reporter guy here. Why don't you go light him up or give him a hard time and stuff? I mean, beat him up some. And then after the incident happened, they sent him to Japan. And then when he came back, Vince was saying, well, we're being sued and stuff like that. I want you to sign this thing saying you did it completely on your own. And he didn't have anything to do with it. He said, no. And then I guess this was around the time Vince McMahon was planning on doing the main event, the main room, if you ever seen History World Part 1. WrestleMania. He had all the matches, and Dr. D said, where's my match at? And he said, well, there ain't going to be one. And he was on the outs. But whenever he did that, my dad said, I don't think you're going to be seeing him anymore. You know, whenever he slapped his ears and stuff like that. And they actually made a joke, because, I mean, we didn't have cable. They didn't come out in the country They would do that now, but I mean, back at the time, in the 80s. And they had something called Tuesday Night Titans, which I only seen once or twice at my grandfather's. And my grandfather, this is all talking and stuff. It was like Vince McMahon doing a 2-hour talk show. And they have clips and stuff like that. I mean, I remember seeing clips of that from some of the pro wrestling tapes I used to rent while I was in the Army, especially in Germany. Well, anyways, there was a thing where you hear Gene Okerlund talking on phone. And I said, wait a minute, I can't. Hey, John, why don't you put your hand over the ear of the ear, making a joke about it. And then that was the last time, like I said, at the thing happened on 2020, that was the last I seen of Dr. D. David Schultz, except they had something. There used to be a show called Solid Gold, which is 8 minutes. Wow, this is gonna be a long video. Called Solid Gold, which is like a syndicated show with like featured like musical acts and stuff, and music videos. Yeah, they had Wendy Williams was on there. Well, Michelle McCool hosted the show. I can't remember who else hosted. Michelle McCool was beautiful, and there was like they had like Plasmatics were on there, and Devo was on there and stuff, and it was a cool show. I liked it. But what happened? They had like a top 10 list, and they did like different ideas, and they said like we're gonna have all pro wrestlers doing the song. And I think Dr. D. David Schultz was on there for at number 9 for like 10 seconds, doing the thing. And that was it. That was the last time I've ever seen him. Well, in this show, you've seen what he's been doing since. He's been doing all great for himself. He goes in the storage locker. He shows all his merch and stuff. and all his belongings from the rest. And then he said he became a bounty hunter, which I thought was really, really neat. I'd be intimidated by him, and they say he's a very reliable bounty hunter too. So that's what he's been doing ever since wrestling stuff. Because whenever that happened, he just went to a bunch of independents, and he just he, WWE was the big time back then. So was WCW, but I don't think WCW wanted him or anything or whatever. But I mean, it was a fascinating show. I really liked it. Next was something I just saw called Assassination of Dino Bravo, which I didn't know about. I know he passed away, but I just thought it was regular things, just like most other wrestlers. Either overdose or just die or heart disease or whatever. Before the age of 40 or right in the early 40s. And this one revolves around, they showed he was like owned a wrestling promotion that was really popular in Quebec. And he was like the most popular wrestler there. And, they had, one thing that surprised me, they have some of the wrestlers, I don't recognize them now. They had one bald guy, I didn't know who he was, and then he said, I am the Mountie. So I know it's Jacques Rougeau, which was cool. And they talked about Vince McMahon coming in, and then he had all the money. And this was like right around before WrestleMania stuff. And everyone went over there, and then eventually Dino Bravo went over there, and he said he was mad that he had to dye his hair blonde and stuff. And it talks about him getting involved after he got out of the wrestling business, getting involved with the mafia and stuff like that, which I didn't know anything about that at all. But really interesting show. I like that a lot. Might as well address this now. The Chris Benoit one. This was a two-parter, and then they had like Live After Dark or whatever it was. I watched that too. I don't know if they had Live After Dark for all the other episodes. I have to watch that too. But I mean, I have to watch. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to watch, and it's usually on YouTube. And with the Chris Benoit thing, I remember that when it happened. I mean, because they had a thing when Eddie Guerrero passed. And I remember they showed. They had like they interviewed the wrestlers and stuff like that, and they had Chris Benoit, and that was like disturbing to watch. He was like heavy crying and stuff. That was very disturbing. Really disturbing. I mean, I felt bad for the guy. Then, like, a few years later, he did away with his wife and his kid from that marriage. I remember WWE, whenever Chris Benoit passed, they had like this big thing showing, tributing his life and stuff until they found out what happened. And they completely cut him, tied with him and his family completely. And they show his kid on there, and his son from his first marriage looks so much like him. But I mean, I thought it was a fascinating story too. I remember some of these tied together and stuff. But I mean, I liked it. A fascinating story. But it's just too much of a bummer to just do a video about that. I want to do all encompassing 4 episodes, And next one was New Jack. I think I came out after that, including like the mass transit incident. And it shows him a lot of different ways. I've seen him a lot of different ways. Like in Beyond the Mat, they showed like one guy hired him to be an actor or something like that. And it kind of humanized him and stuff like that. He wanted to be as he was, and he seemed like pretty decent actor. So I don't know if he got the role or anything like that, but the guy said he had major potential. And then on that one, the story of ECW, I think he's like more comedic. He was like talking about Balls Mahoney. If you seen him, give him a hug. Give him a hug. He needs one. And Balls Mahoney passed away too. But no, I mean, wrestling has the darkest history of all sports-related things. And I mean wrestling, sports, entertainment. But sports-related stuff, wrestling has the darkest history, And, what else was there? It did have the darkest history. Yeah, it was a 2-parter episode and stuff. It was just... And they showed his son from the first man looks so much like him. He really does. Well, yeah, Nash was New Jack, and New Jack. They showed me, like I said, they showed me different lights. When he was on Nancy Grace, Nancy Grace had a whole big month-long thing about Chris Benoit and talking about how bad wrestling was. And they interviewed New Jack, and New Jack was like totally against wrestling completely. And he said he's on disability and all this other stuff. And then I remember there was a kid calling up Nancy Grace, and he said, she said, "Well, I'm a big fan. I like your show." And she said, "Well, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And he said, "I want to be a pro wrestler." And she was shocked. She was stunned after all the Chris Benoit stuff. I mean, it took her like 30 seconds to respond. He said, "Hey kid, use your brawn. No, use your brain and not your brawn." That's what she said. She didn't want to be mean, but Nancy Grace always has a scowl on her face, like she ate 1,000 lemons. I'm Nancy Grace. That's back when she had her show on Headline News. Whenever Headline News doesn't show news that much anymore, except for Rob Mead. You know, you gotta have your. You know, they had wall-to-wall news that I liked. I don't want the, the stuff they were doing, later on, and they still do that crap too. And they got rid of student news. I'm so mad. Student news was fantastic. Student news was like a 10-minute thing that I guess teachers would record at 4 in the morning for the kids to watch. I remember watching the show and enjoying it. I mean, it's very entertaining. Um. Anyways, they talk about New Jack, and they talk about, and he acts really crazy. Well, not crazy, but tough. He went through childhood. Must have been really, really bad. It was bad. And you see, like I was telling Rootman about bleeding, like his forehead is like a map of deep cuts and scars and stuff like that. It's crazy. And you see that with other wrestlers too. Their forehead might be all scarred up. And you talk about the mass transit incident. And it's really, it's really a fascinating show. I really like Dark Side of the Ring. I got to look up other episodes of it. Or at least try to watch it, or write down episodes from episode 1, and then have it listed. And then episodes from episode 2, and then, watch them all, and then, do a little checklist and stuff like that. I might do another review like this, but do like a couple of episodes in a review. But I love the show. It's a 10 out of 10. I think one mistake in the Dino Bravo one was they had, they're French people. His wife and daughter both very pretty. They have the subtitles, and it's hard to read the subtitles because it's on a bunch of a white backdrop and stuff. There was one time when they showed them above her head, they should have just shown them up there. It would have been so much easier to read, That's the problem I had. I give that one a 9 out of 10 because of the subtitles. They screwed that up. But I love the show. It's really wonderful. I hope you like this review, everybody. Till next time, please take care of my Legion. Oh, and also, like I said, I remember when that was out. That came out on VHS. I remember I recorded something. I wish I would have had. I don't know where the tape is now. I wish I could have had a copy of just this one section on the news. Well, like I said, with WrestleMania, like WrestleMania 2, I don't know. I think the same with WrestleMania 3. That was a pay-per-view on closed circuit TV. You'd have to go to the Civic Center, and then I guess there'd be a bunch of TV you pay to watch a TV, I guess. I remember with us, we just rented it when it came on videotape, and that was the first WrestleMania was the shortest one, being an hour and 50 minutes, and then the next one was 2 hours, and then there was like 3 hours and a 4-hour one, and then back to 3. And they got longer. And what I remember from the news, they had some news footage of like the crowd going to see WrestleMania 2. The second one. And there's one guy doing an imitation. I don't know what he is. I remember my dad was laughing. And I wish I would have had that. I would love to put that on the tape. But I wish I don't have it now. I don't know where the tape's at. I don't even remember what tape it was on. And this is back when TV used to sign off late at night. People ask me why they used to do it. That's what they used to do. They didn't have a TV station would sign off around 1:30 at night or something like that, and then come back on at 6 o'clock. But that all started to change in the late 80s. Whenever they started doing that Linda Ellerby nightly news or what on NBC, all night news, I think that's when things started to change, And then NBC would have like all night movies on Saturday nights. Because it would be like just like they'd have Saturday Night Live, Then Tales from the Dark Side, I think they sign off after that. Well, I hope you liked this video. Bye. Till next time, please. Take care of my Legion. Iggy.